Hello, everyone. My name is Lauren Sergi, and this is Talk Shop, the place where you can learn from industry professionals how to be a stronger communicator in your work and your life. You've probably met at some point in your life one of those people that exudes positivity and optimism, whether they're talking about a nice sunny day outside or a really terrible meeting they had at work. And maybe, just maybe, you've thought, how can I get me some of that? To help us figure out how to bring some of that magic into our lives, I have with me a very special guest today, Wayne Lee. For over 20 years, Wayne has been motivating and inspiring groups and organizations through his unique blend of magic, comedy, and hypnosis. He has presented to over 4,000 audiences worldwide, appearing on national television shows and radio programs, and has worked with Fortune 100 and 500 companies like IBM, General Motors, and Princess Cruise Lines. Today, he's here to help us wake up the power of our minds and reach new performance outcomes through the magic of positive thinking. Mr. Wayne Lee, master of group stage hypnosis. I'm going to start this off by having you introduce to us what hypnosis actually is. What is hypnotism?
It's a great question, and I will be as direct as I can. The best definition that I have heard, and then through my 23 years of doing this, is it's the non-critical acceptance of an idea into our subconscious.
I've never heard it expressed that way.
So what does that mean? That means that if I tell you something and you believe it to be true, without any barriers, without any walls, and you're just like, yes, that's hypnosis.
So within the hypnosis, because you don't do the one-on-one type of hypnosis, for like weight loss or smoking cessation or anxiety management, you do group hypnosis, and big group hypnosis at that, in front of even bigger audiences. What I find really neat about your whole system too is that you've niched down hugely, and you mix together personal motivation and empowerment messages with the show, but you focus on doing this for corporate crowds.
Yes.
Yeah, and that seems a little odd. You got all these button-down business people at the end of their conference getting ready for a group hypnosis comedy show.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So what is it about corporate events that really resonated with you and made you say, yes, I want to help these people?
Well, I think there's a number of things, and it wasn't something that was well planned in advance, like how life takes its course and you just kind of take a turn here and here and here. At one time, my big goal was the big Vegas show, and I had that came to a crashing halt back in the 9/11, where I had actually a contract to go there, and it all fell apart, and I was devastated. I was really saddened by that. And there's a silver lining to anything if you want to look at it that way, and that's a form of hypnosis, finding and reframing things.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what's next? And the next is I've always loved to educate. I've always loved to be the teacher because I was a teacher before I did this. And I knew that my passion for teaching plus the entertainment, or plus that entertainment led to people empowering themselves. So it was always that. So the right avenue or market, because I'd already done some corporate work, was that. It was a more sophisticated group that wasn't just, hey, let's just take what we can get. They're looking for return on investment. So, whatever I was doing, I had to be good at it. I had to get better at it. So it challenged me as an individual in my craft. So it really got me to step up my game to say, hey, if I'm doing a keynote presentation, this better not just be entertainment. Yeah. This has got to be, sure, very entertaining. It's got to be engaging, but there's got to be some substance there. So it got me to stretch, and I've always been passionate about the power of the mind, hypnosis, psychology, spirituality, all of that. And so it was really what I was dancing around in was my passion, and just being able to deliver it for an audience that I could reach, that I would be rewarded well, and that would fulfill me and would make a difference. And so that really is that corporate market that I've picked that lane. So associations and corporations that are having their national meetings or their big events, I'm the person to either do the entertainment or their keynote presentation that is very different, very unique, fun, and it really has the element of doing those hypnosis presentations But what really excites me is peeling back the layers of what I'm doing as a hypnotist to show people how they can do that every day in their life to program their self for success.
Mm-hmm.
And to take it another step further is because it is with the power of persuasion. It's the process of persuasion through the words that we use, stringing those together to create meaning, to create influence so people can take action on it. And so it's fascinating. So from a personal perspective, we have to hypnotize ourselves to play a bigger game, to be more confident, to be more competent. But then our communication to others is about influencing them in a way that's inspiring, that makes a difference, and is good for everyone. So there's lots of great nuggets in there that really allowed me to choose this path.
So there was an item on there, Wayne, that you hit that I'd love to explore just a little bit more. And that was that even though when you were looking at this corporate client base, yeah, they were looking for entertainment. They were looking for something fun and light, but you also dug into their needs and said they're looking for more. They're looking for something practical too. And in there, you show a lot of sensitivity to what your audience's needs are and what need you can answer for them. That's something that I find a lot of people when they're facing a new audience or a potentially intimidating audience like the big corporations that you speak for, they think, oh, what on earth do I have to bring these people? You know, they're big, they're important, they've seen it all. Yeah. What do I have to bring them? And you found what they were looking for, which is a great lesson.
Yeah, no, thanks for touching on that. Not only have I found it, I'm fine-tuning it and still fine-tuning it. And I'll never end fine-tuning that process. And what I mean by that is, first of all, being really clear of what I bring to the table and my core competency and my expertise and talent and what they're hiring me for. Because if it's for pure entertainment, having fun, that's great. But then what beyond that? What problem am I solving for them?
Yeah.
And that can be a real tough one. That can be a lifelong journey of really identifying what it is and then aligning it for your client.
Yeah.
For me, that's been 23 years in the making of getting to this point. I feel like I'm just getting started. So, you know, if somebody said, hey, are you a sales expert? Well, to me, I don't think of myself as that sales expert person that's got all those results. Now, sure, I know a lot about sales and I can definitely teach people a few things, but I would feel almost like an imposter to put myself in there. Mm-hmm. So I have to be really, really clear on what it is that I've earned the right to step on stage, especially for these corporate groups, but then also how to position what I do to help them in sales. So even though I may not be the sales expert, I'm the expert on the mindset.
Yeah.
And I can position myself, and with great clarity, I can now see how I can put myself into, hey, I've been a performer on there for 23 years. My background has been with amateur wrestling and getting to that national and even world level, and some of my downfalls. I've learned so many. So I've really been able to take those experiences and talk more about the mindset and performance and how that relates to sales. People can have all the great strategies, but if they don't have the mindset, they're not going to apply it.
Yeah.
Same thing with customer service. You can have all the great techniques, but if you don't have somebody in that right mindset, they aren't going to put that smile legitimately and send out that great energy and use those things. Or leadership. What does a leader have to do? A leader has to lead themselves and get themselves in that mindset. So you see how I'm even doing this on the call right now. I'm positioning myself as the mindset expert, the person that, you know, can then help people with their performance. So that has taken a lot of digging deep, a lot of understanding the client, asking them questions, not just thinking I know it all, and getting feedback from them too. So I know why they're hiring me and maybe some of their other challenges and how I can help solve those challenges and problems.
Absolutely. So for anyone, for all of you who are listening to this, who are watching this, if you're ever going into a presentation or a meeting or a pitch or whatever, and you're feeling that self-doubt that all of us encounter, you know, those little nagging self-doubts that we all hear from time to time, and you're worried that, okay, I don't have what they're looking for, I don't understand how what I know is applicable to them, do that digging. And like Wayne said, figure out how to position your expertise, because you do have expertise, you do have a unique outlook that is valuable to them, and just position it in terms of what those people might be looking for. Now,
yes, exactly. That's very good.
Yeah. So now, of course, at the Talk Shop. We are all about that communication spin on things. Something I've noticed in corporate communication, how people interact with each other, is this tendency to hold back, to put up a wall. Maybe it's because we're afraid our ideas will be rejected or we'll be pushing boundaries or whatever it is, we put up that wall. So as a hypnotist and a peak performance coach, what effect does that wall have, not just on ourselves, but also on the people that we work with?
That wall that people put up?
Yep.
That I think is one of the great causes of stress. Also, people not being productive, because there's a sense of boundaries and appropriateness. And there's also a sense of, I always have to put on this mask to look a certain way. And I see that. I mean, what does corporate arena really mean anyhow? You know, when I do my events now, people are screaming to laugh. They are yearning to get out of that so they can express themselves, to be free. And I think that there's a detriment and there's a real disruption happening right now about how corporate culture has been and how it is and where it's going. And it looks different. And I think a lot of it, there's more transparency, there's more expressing yourself, there's more creativity. And there's been studies to show that, you know, that the productivity comes from not being stiff and rigid. It comes from being loose and open and being able to express yourself. And so one of the interesting things is that when I get people even to come up on my stage to get hypnotized, the number one thing that'll stop them from coming up is the one thing that stops them from being productive at work. And that's the fear of looking silly.
Yeah.
And they put this mask on, or they have this persona. But as soon as they let that go, it's one of the most freeing things in the world. And it doesn't mean to be inappropriate or over the line. It just means to let that go. And, you know, if you look at, say, some of the big companies in the world like Google and how they have their office space set up, and it's no office. And it's just because they're taking those boundaries away. Yeah,
they have taken those boundaries away. And the display in your shows of that boundary being broken down, that wall going away, it's absolutely amazing. But no one comes away embarrassed. No one comes away angry or upset. It's quite the opposite. I did have the chance to watch one of your shows, and it was incredible to feel the energy in the room, as well as to hear the chatter afterwards of the coworkers. The way they were talking to each other was different afterwards. Yeah. And so, I mean, that group hypnosis experience of letting down the wall and being free and being expressive, I think is an incredibly valuable lesson that you bring to people.
Well, thank you. And I'll touch on it a little bit more, but I just want to make clear too, is that you're absolutely right. Like, no one gets embarrassed because everybody gets their clothes back at the end of the show.
Incidentally, I will link in the show notes to some clips to Wayne's shows. Watch them. They're hilarious. They are amazing.
Yeah.
Now, you've got a great acronym that you work with, not just in your shows, but also in your other material. The GPS, our built-in GPS. Tell us about what that is.
Sure. Well, it's two things to me. It's actually three, because it's the global positioning system, which we know and we can relate, and it's on our phones now. And we have, we know what its job is to guide you to get to wherever you want to go. Mm-hmm. And a GPS traditionally is, you know, you punch in the coordinates and then it'll calculate the route from where you are right now. And it will get you to where you want to go by guiding you through a voice. Whether you want to be in better health, you want to weigh your ideal weight, whether you want to attract that ideal mate, you want more money in your pocket, whatever it is, when you put it out there, it automatically will calculate the route. Our internal GPS, the GPS, is our grade. Mm-hmm. Programmable subconscious. So it's a very ambiguous term, the subconscious. What does that mean? Under awareness. And, you know, to me, it's where we hold all our habits, all our automatic behaviors. It's where we have this ability to learn something so we don't have to think about it. We create these habits. And it's also a gateway to infinite intelligence. That's my take on it, is that I really believe anything is possible. And when we believe that long enough, we open up to the connected galaxy, the universe. And now I'm getting a little bit metaphysical, but I so much passionately believe in that, because it really is something that more people are open to that type of talk. And the great programmable subconscious is that whatever you're putting into your subconscious through the words that you're saying and thinking to yourself, and those pictures that you're creating, because we think in pictures, produce the feelings, and the feelings will drive your behavior. But in that intelligent GPS that we have, when you're putting it in, you're basically programming what you want to expand. The challenge is that a lot of people are programming in a lot of negative stuff into their GPS. And some of that stuff is stuff that they've just picked up over the years, primarily in their childhood. Bad habits, bad behaviors, or faulty thinking, which gets stuck there, and then they continue it throughout their life. But here's the good news, and this is really good news, is that everyone has a choice to reprogram it.
Yeah.
And here's the one thing that I love talking about. It's the voice of our GPS, our great programmable subconscious, is always our feelings. And I'll give you an example, and I'll kind of get there through asking some questions. But people want things. They want to maybe have better health. They want more money. And why do they want these things? And from all the experts that I've studied and my own experience, it's because of how we will feel.
Yeah.
When we get those things. So hear me out with this. When you have a heartfelt desire and you want something in your career, you want something physical form, some tangible object, a new car, a new house, you want that relationship, you have basically put it out to your GPS that you're going to get it. This is the thing of dreams are made of. And then you have a faulty thought that says, I'll probably never get it. It's never ever happened to me. Why do things always? You have a negative thought with this great, passionate, heartfelt desire clashing.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happens. Bang. And that's what we call in the physical form stress. So the key to all of this is alignment. You take that heartfelt desire, which I'm feeling right now, and you have a great thought that's in alignment that says, I can do this. I'm open. I'm going to learn how to do this. You feel good. Now, here's the cool thing, and I know I might be stepping ahead of the whole conversation.
Step away.
Our thoughts are magnetic. When you think a thought, you put it out to the universe, you attract it. They sound woo-woo.
Yep.
And there's lots of scientific research on it right now. And I don't want to go into that because I'm not the expert on the scientific research, but I do in my heartfelt desires. I believe true. When you put something out, and you're connecting it with this vibration of feeling joy, happy, successful, you will actually start to attract more of that. And so the key is to get into alignment. And it's not like what most people are doing. They're like, well, when I get $1 million, then I'll feel this way. They got it all wrong. Feel that way now as if you have achieved it. And people will say, well, that's maybe just fake it till you make it or pretending. That's exactly it. That's why the GPS is also an acronym for goals, pretending, and stress managing. So when you set a goal, you're programming your GPS. When you pretend it, you're not just thinking about it. You're actually like a kid that believes they've actually achieved it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked to the Olympic champions. I've talked to Lorianne Munzer. I've talked to other Olympic champions that their language was like, I can feel it. I was visualizing it before it happened. I saw it. I knew it in my bones. That is validation that these people had it to the point where they believed it, they knew it, and then their body manifested it.
Boom.
And it doesn't mean you don't do the work. Like, don't get me wrong on this one, people, is that there's a lot of people that want the easy way out here. There's no free lunch. There's no easy ticket. But if you think if you have massive power and you align that all going in the same direction, you're going to move. That's what we call performance. And that's why those people make it look easy. Why? They've probably done it hundreds of thousands of times to get into such great alignment that they win those gold medals. But it starts here.
Right.
So that's why I'm a profound believer in, 10 minutes a day, do the discipline to feel as though you've already achieved something, or do that in multiple times throughout the day. And once you've done that, then live in the moment. Live in the moment and be there, because too many people are splitting their focus.
Right.
And that last part is the S, stress management. Because if once stress pops up, and as you know, when you get people to step on stage, they can be scared. And that's a natural thing. It's natural to be scared, and it's learning how to channel or transform that so people can take action. They feel better. Because as we know, when people feel better, they perform better. And when people feel better, they actually get better results.
Yep.
And any internal things that are happening that is like that stressful feeling is going to manifest sooner or later in the body as an illness. Yeah. So we've got such an amazing system that's always indicating that we're on course, to the point that if we don't actually listen to it, we get sick.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a blessing. People are always saying, oh, stress, I hate stress. It's the greatest sign that you could be given, that you can empower yourself. You can empower yourself to such a great degree that you can change those thoughts. You can habitually do them. But a lot of times it's so elusive for people because they're thoughts.
Right.
And it's also about the habits that people have. Sometimes they're hard to change those habits. So the disciplines are what they're all about. When I say disciplines, 10 minutes a day, waking up, having a morning ritual, visualizing, going to the gym, because our bodies and minds are connected, and to get yourself moving. And so there's tons of those disciplines that people can start to get better results, to get themselves in alignment.
And it's funny because a lot of the approaches that you mentioned, visualizing a good end outcome, getting it into your body, doing the action many, many, many times. So it is in there, assuming you can do this thing you're going for, instead of assuming that you can't. Those are approaches that I teach within my public speaking instruction as well. But you said it, you used the word. There is a lot of people out there who will look at this, they'll say, this is woo, this is law of attraction crap, I'm not getting into it. And I'd imagine that especially in, those higher stakes corporate worlds, that you would get that response a lot. How do you reframe this to get beyond that wall?
Yeah. Exactly what we talked about when we first started this conversation, Lauren, in regards to positioning. Yeah. It's really learning and listening to the language of the people, because true hypnosis is really being so observant of what they're saying and be able to get into their mind. Mm-hmm. So if I say law of attraction, but then I say mindset, those are words, but what people conjure up from those words can be like, yuck, I don't want to touch that.
Yeah.
This sounds good to me. So it's always just learning what these people are focused on. I could be talking to somebody over the phone, and this could be a corporate executive, and they can all of a sudden say, oh my goodness, I hear what you're saying, Wayne. I love the law of attraction. Mm-hmm. So am I going to say that's woo-woo? I'm going to be
no, you're going to go with
aligning with that.
Yeah.
So sometimes people are their own worst enemies, because they will think that stuff's woo-woo, and they're putting it out there that it's woo-woo.
Yeah.
They have to be open enough and also know what they stand in, their truth, what they believe. Because a lot of it is reframing.
It is.
Aligning to what they want. Just like with myself, I wouldn't, in the corporate world, call myself the law of attraction teacher. I don't think that's fine. But if I call myself, well, I'm really focused on the performance mindset,
that's different.
That's it, right? Or if I'm a peak performance, coach, then it's different. And I've got to be okay. Not only okay, I got to be proud of that. And then I have to know that I'm fitting into that right silo of what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. So you're absolutely right, Lauren. Like you just have to know how to position things. And it's not lying. It's about really knowing that you're helping somebody and you're serving them and you're talking their language.
Yeah.
And I had an experience just like that with the client, that, we were talking, we were chatting, and she was asking, how do you, what's the message to what you do? And we were chatting. And then it came out that she said a few things and I said a few things. And I said, well, do you know this author? And she goes, oh my goodness. And when she did that, guess what? It was like I had permission to talk about that. And it went to a whole other level. So now she'll have a hard time not hiring me.
Right.
Because we're in rapport. And sometimes you don't want to go to the side of people pleasing. I mean, there's a point in your career too where it's like you take what you can get, and you're going to fulfill people. You're going to, hit home runs the best that you can. But if you take things and you're not a good fit for them and you fall flat in your face, that will hurt you more so.
Right. Yeah, right. So you still have to stick to the integrity of your message, the integrity of what it is you're offering.
Yeah. And sometimes it's tough because we're all looking out to get on a stage and to do stuff. And I've been doing this for 23 years. And Larry Wing had actually said it really good. He said, take what you can get until, whenever you can get it, until you can get what you want whenever you want it. And there's a message that comes out of that, and it's paying the price. Yeah. It's paying the price. And then getting to a point where you get so good at what you're doing that you're the category of one, you're the person that they look to, that's the person. That's not just a topic. That's the person we need. You need to get on. And when that happens, you're at a point in your career where you put in the time, you put in the energy, you've listened to your clients, and you're solving some problems, and they are thinking you're the person to come to. No one else comes to mind.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's
true hypnosis. That's true hypnosis.
And it's very, it creates a lot of opportunities in our lives, I think, too, because if the attitude, if the thing that we're putting out there, and by out there, I mean, this is the way that we talk to ourselves and the way that we talk to others. If what we're doing is saying, okay, there's this problem here and I can approach it by X, Y, Z, instead of saying, I don't know anything about that, engaging in this thinking where you assume you have some kind of tool or some kind of agency to approach this new problem or situation or whatever it might be, then you'll start seeing the opportunities and the solutions a little bit more than the problems. Like they almost take as equal a weight. Opportunity and solution has an equal weight as problem. Yeah. And I think that's that whole positive, optimistic outlook.
Yeah. And I think, if I'm hearing you correctly on this, and I'll just add on this, is that there's a lot of people, professional speakers and trainers and coaches that are hypercritical of themselves to the point where they're not getting the opportunities because they don't have, and it comes down to a confidence thing. It comes down to that they're so hard on themselves and questioning and critical instead of realizing that they've got value and they can solve problems and they're creative and they just have to dig deep, look at how they can align their services with that problem, that client, and go forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see that as having a very solution-oriented mindset. Again, this comes within the communication world of having a solution-oriented mindset where you say not, no, it's impossible. You say, I wonder if, or maybe if we tried this, and then always looked for the opportunity where you can have an effect.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then you'll start noticing those opportunities too. And that's where again, that reframing from what might be perceived as woo, law of attraction, you reframe it and say, no, you're looking for the opportunities. Yeah. And the more you look for them, the more you'll see them, the more you'll find them. So the more they come to you, if you will. Yeah. That's how all of this positive thinking magic can really come into our lives.
I totally believe that. And it is, what you put out there is what you get, what you focus on ads. And I find a really good tool, especially speakers and communicators can learn by is, and Danny Hooper said this actually at the last convention. He was talking to his wife. He said, how's everything going? She goes, yeah, this is really good. But, they should really have a convention for the professional listeners.
Interesting.
What you meant by this is that so many speakers just talk instead of listen and ask questions.
Yeah.
We all need to hear that time and time again because we can be so quick to give information, but sometimes we don't even know what we're saying is even remotely going to understand that person, going to help solve a problem, or even if they have a problem. So a lot of times it's slowing down, asking really good questions to uncover that information to then see how we can align what we have.
So, Wayne, when we're trying to reprogram our brains, when we're trying to get into a positive performance frame of mind, what language do we need to watch out for?
Well, there's three things that come to mind, and I just say three things. Is that, first of all, before I get into those three words that are negative programming words that are very simple and many people are using them day in and day out without them even realizing it, is the words are important because they're indicators of what may be stopping you. But what's more important is your emotional state. Mm-hmm. How you feel in any given moment is the greatest indicator, like I said, of your internal GPS. Are you on course? Are you in alignment? Or are you off course, out of alignment? And so when you're using words and you're still out of alignment, it doesn't matter what words you're really using. If you're not feeling good, you have to be conscious enough to know that a word can make a difference. In fact, on stage, one of my most powerful phrases is boom, bam, shazam. Made you laugh. I feel enlightened. I feel large. And all a word is really a symbol. that gets us to either see a particular picture, feel one way or another.
Yeah.
And so that's just something, how can you say, jargled up. It's a little affirmation that I create that means a lot to me because it's my dog. And, you know, and so I'm making light of this, the thing that, you know, whatever people tell you about words, okay, that's one thing. But more importantly, personally, how are those words affecting you and making you feel? And you'll get that with people that swear. I've heard people say you shouldn't be swearing. That's all a belief system.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody's throwing the F-bomb and they're empowered, more power to you. You know, that's the way I look at it. How does that feel, right?
So emotions more than words. You mentioned
emotions are the outcome. The words are the delivery or the tool to get you there.
Love it. Love it. Oh, go ahead, Wayne. Sorry. Three words.
A lot of times people will catch themselves. They won't catch themselves, but I'm just going to tell you so you can catch yourself. Is they'll say, I want to have more money. I want to hit my sales targets. I just want to, you know, be more financially secure. But that word "but" negates everything you just said. It's like a hammer that comes down hard. It's a barrier that pops up. So "but" is one of those words. Now, "but" is also a very strategic word to use in ways where you can persuade people, because if you want just to forget what you just said there, you use the word "but." What I'm using this is in the positioning is that if you said you wanted something and used the word "but," it's going to usually take you on a downward energy spiral, and you'll be like this. So if you're stating a goal and you're saying "but," be aware that you're more than likely stopping yourself from even getting out of the start gate. So the word that you can replace with that particular word is "and." Now I'll give you an example. I want to be, richer. I want to have more money in my life, but down. I want to be rich. I want to have more money in my life, and it's going to take some work. There's an upward energy. Just feel it, and you have to be conscious of that too. But it takes practice. It takes practice.
Yeah.
To take those things. And as a hypnotist, I'm using the word "and" to connect affirmations, connect commands throughout my whole presentation. Yeah, take a deep breath in and notice how you feel so good. And notice that when you're sitting there and you listen to my voice, you feel amazing. And so it just connects everything. It keeps that up. The next word is try. I'll try to do that. And what people are usually saying is that it's not going to happen. They'll try. They're giving themselves a way out. And sometimes people will say, I'll try to do it. And I notice their tone has changed. In that case, I'm not going to question it. But most often, people that use the word try, it's just like in Star Wars with Yoda, right? Try you mustn't, do you must.
Yoda moment.
Yeah, that's how it works. So instead of try, just do it or don't do it. Don't play that middle game of being uncertain.
Right. So you mentioned with the affirmations, and I'm sure this will tie into those three words. Can you give us some tips for helping this positive programming process feel less fake? Because I suspect that a lot of people, or some people, who knows, who are listening to this might be picturing that yelling affirmations at the mirror in the morning stereotype, and they just go, huh.
Yeah. Yeah, if people, put it this way, if that's what does it for you and you can do that, and there's people that do that,
rock on.
I'll give you an example, is that there's highly successful people like Brian Tracy, and you can't dispute his success, and he will tell you exactly that. Talk nice to yourself and do that in the mirror. I am not going to question that, because it all has to do with, does it get you to that point of believing, and more than that, feeling?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my thing, is that I'm not going to knock that. I'm not going to criticize it, but most people that do affirmations, they don't buy into it. They don't change their state with that.
Yeah.
So if the feeling state doesn't change, they're not going to be in a higher vibration. They're not going to act upon it, because we typically do what we feel like doing, not what we should be doing. So sometimes it's a lot more frustrating, because they're doing 10 types of tools and techniques, and they're getting more frustrated. So my whole part about, the affirmations is, are they making you feel better? And if not, maybe get rid of some and just do some things that are getting you to feel good, or find out what you're doing right now to get yourself to feel good and do more of that. Because a lot of times where people are looking at what's missing instead of what's already there. I go to the gym and I feel awesome. I get my best ideas when I'm on the treadmill. I'm reading, and my goodness, that quiets my mind.
That's your affirmation.
We're right there. Those are just tools.
Yeah.
I myself, my personal affirmations, I love alliteration. So I'm calm, confident, I have a cheerful state of mind. I say all those. I'm bold, beautiful, brilliant. And those are things that just make me feel good. And, obviously those words with the pictures that come up, saying them over and over, will have self-doubt, but that's the reason we use these to get to that point. I do say that, see it in your mind and feel it and pretend is really important. And that's my take on all of that, is get yourself into that feeling state and watch things transpire.
So instead of trying to look for, craft that perfect affirmation or find something that someone else is saying works and try to force that into your life and make it work, look for what's already working for you. And, assuming it's good for you, but look for what already works for you, for what already makes you feel that way you want to feel, and then do more of that. Yeah. It's a much easier habit to get into if that's the approach than fundamental, like you said, than trying to create something that's missing. Look for what you've already got.
I think it's perfect. Now, what if I told you that 10 minutes a day of pretending as if you've achieved your highest and most precious dream would guarantee you that you got it?
I'd do that.
Why aren't most people doing it? Why aren't most people doing it?
Oh,
including ourselves. Why aren't we doing it? And it's probably the best thing, one-word answer I've heard from one of my mentors years ago, Jim Rohn. He would say, "Why don't people do it? Neglect. They just neglect." We also have disbelief that it won't work.
Yeah.
So faith is a big part of it. I'm not talking in a religious aspect. I'm talking faith that when we get into that zone and we feel it, people, places, things, events, opportunities show up as if by magic. You have to do the work, but what if that is part of that work?
That is an absolutely great note to end this on, actually, Wayne, that when you do the work, it shows up as if by magic. Thank you so much for that.
You're
I'm
very
going to
welcome.
carry that one with me for a while.
Cool. Yeah,
so Wayne, you are out there to help people. And I am sure there are some people watching this who think, yeah, you know what, my corporate event coming up could use a little bit of sparkle, or maybe they would just like to see more of you, see your videos, see your blog posts and your thoughts. Where can people find you, Wayne?
And just to add on that, those people probably need a lot of help with their events. I see some of that. I'll tell you, I sit through those too, and I'm like the end closing keynote, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And I am not.
Tell me now.
Yes, I'm not. And you know how it is, right? Because it's not about information at these, it's about moving people.
Yes.
It's about engaging them. And the information's got to be there. It's got to be more than that.
Yeah.
But people can find me just on my website, just waynelee.com. It's got the video, it's got the links to my Facebook, my YouTube, Instagram, and there's a free program that I have called Self-Discovery and Confidence. And it's a self-hypnosis program because you were mentioning one of the things that when people don't believe in these affirmations, it's their conscious mind and those beliefs that are getting in the way that are kind of like putting the barrier. What hypnosis does, and like I first said, is it allows you to set aside your critical aspect, conscious part of you to analyze, to accept new programs. And that's why I'm such a big believer in hypnosis, to quiet the mind, to accept these new programs, a new reality, what's absolutely amazingly possible, and then to program it. And that's the program that I have on there has been used by thousands upon thousands of people to help them relax their mind, feel better, and build that self-confidence that they always have within them. They just have to program to generate it.
That is outstanding. And of course, in the show notes, I will put in links to Wayne's website, a link to that free self-hypnosis program. Sign up for it. Give it a try. And that is going to wrap up everything for today on Talk Shop. If you have come away with some ideas on how to think more positively in your life, on how to raise your performance level using some of Wayne's techniques here, please give this video or this podcast a like, subscribe to the channel, and make sure that you head over to laurensergi.com, sign up for my newsletter, because you will get all of the upcoming Talk Shop interviews as well as other great information that I only share with subscribers. I look forward to seeing you back on the next Talk Shop. Have a great day. Bye-bye.